Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? This is my review of The Fourth Wall by Walter John Williams. I apologize for two things. One, there's going to be some background noise because I got the AC going full tilt. It is 100 degrees with satanic levels of humidity. We are in the dog days of August in Oklahoma City. And I am on my second hard sleep reset in as many weeks. I didn't want to be on my nocturnal schedule while I was on vacation because then it would kind of defeat the purpose of going and spending time with my family if I spent half of it asleep when they were awake. So I did a hard reset to the day schedule last week, and now I'm trying to hard reset back to the nocturnal schedule, and it is kicking me directly in the huevos. So sorry if I sound gassed. It's because I am. Anyway, The Fourth Wall. This was an impressive, unconventional way of wrapping up a trilogy. This is the third in the Dagmar Shaw novels. The first one was called This Is Not a Game. I reviewed it earlier this year. I've already forgotten what the second book was called. Compared to the first one, the second one was fine. It was a little bit forgettable, just because the first one was so strong that it was just such a tough act to follow, and like you would have a hard time even matching it, let alone surpassing it. And so, like, while it was fine and good and cool, and like the story seemed like a natural continuation of what happened in This Is Not a Game, it didn't leave me as impressed when I was done. And so I was curious to see like what a third one would look like. And I read the description and I thought, they're doing something different here. What is it that they're doing different? Well, the first two books are written in the third person, but they're focused on Dagmar. If you don't remember who she is, she runs an alternate reality gaming company in LA, where it's kind of like super role playing protracted over 8 weeks, and people look at photos and watch videos of things online, and they've got to solve clues and find phone numbers, and they got to call in or email an address, and like the company has a recorded message ready, and it's like spycations or whatever they call them, only they get a new game going. They do like 6 games a year, and each game takes like 8 weeks. They'll get actual celebrities involved to play parts, and it's cool. Like it sounds cool. If I even had the remotest idea where to begin looking, and also if I had time to do one, it seems like the kind of thing that I could get into. And the intrigue of the first book is that something crazy is going on geopolitically and in the financial markets, and it turns out that one of Dagmar's computer geek business friends is accidentally behind it, and she relies on the ARG gamers to kind of help her solve this worldwide threat, this computer bug that is like literally crashing national economies around the world. So there was a lot of really cool overlapping stuff in it. The first book was, I think I gave it 5 stars when I read it in 2012, and I gave it 4 then. I gave it 5 now when I reread it because it's only gotten better. The second book, she's now like hired to do some different stuff, and it's kind of a similar thing, only she relies on the gamers to help with a geopolitical conflict in the Far East while they're also trying to promote a James Bond movie. And like, it was fine, it was cool. It was just the first book was such a tough act to follow. The third book is very different, and I'm wondering, in the wake of it, as I've had the last couple of hours to chew on it, like, I wonder if Walter John Williams didn't have as strong of an idea for this third one, and he also had a different idea for a different book that wasn't strong enough to develop on its own, but he combined them and went in a direction that is not the kind of thing that you usually see with ending a trilogy, but it really, really worked. Graham, what are you talking about? What are you hinting at? The third book is written in the first person, and the main character is an out-of-work former child actor named Sean, who gets hired by Dagmar to be in her newest ARG thing. The book is half of a Dagmar ARG with crazy geopolitical stuff going on, and also half of a chronicle of the life of a washed up former child actor trying to get back on his feet. It's a look into two different worlds, and Walter John Williams like stitches these together, like weaves them together pretty seamlessly to make a really strong story. I think the third one was better than the second one. It still didn't really like meet or match the first book, but that's just a testament to how strong the first book is. When I wasn't listening to this third book, I really wanted to get back at it. So Sean, like I said, he started acting when he was 5. He's in his late 20s when this third book starts, and he's doing like the bottom rung of reality TV show type stuff. He's on this show called like Celebrity Pit Fighter, and it's all out of work actors just beating the crap out of each other in contrived scenarios for a couple of bucks while they try to revive their careers. He was on, we'll say it's a knockoff version of Full House or something, and he made a lot of money when he was a kid, but his parents squandered it all, and then when he became 18, he tried to sue, he tried to get some of it back, and he's piss poor broke. And when he gets hired by Dagmar, like he needs the money and he needs the shot at getting back into the public spotlight, but he's heard about her based on like stuff that happened in the previous books. And it's cool this is why it's cool to kind of get the outsider perspective on her, because twice now she's been involved with crazy national security geopolitical stuff, and based on rumors and things that are going around the internet, he hears that she might be affiliated with terrorists or something, but that's all unsubstantiated. But it's weird how people around her keep dying in like car explosions and stuff, and he's like, oh crap. But he needs this break, and so he decides to roll the dice and take it. Meanwhile, things get tricky because the director that Dagmar hired for this ARG that Sean is going to be in is an old friend of his who's also trying to get his career revived, but he fell into a deep depression when his wife died 6 years ago, and what Sean confesses to the reader is that he killed the guy's wife. You're like, oh, holy crap, okay, we've got new intrigue here. We've got a story about a child actor trying to get a second shot for his career and what that life looks like, what that world looks like, as well as some of the things that somebody in that situation might have done. And on top of that, like it's another Dagmar ARG story. So it keeps the ARG angle of it kind of fresh while giving us a completely new perspective, which I think works better than if he was just trying to tell us another story from Dagmar's perspective. I would have had a problem with Sean as a main character because he's generally likable, but he also does a lot of things that are not likable. Sorry, that's me almost out of gas. But it's explained along the way if you like, kind of pay attention and extrapolate from it. He mentions a couple of times throughout the story that because he grew up as a celebrity, he didn't have a regular childhood. He didn't really get to know what it was like to go to a school dance and stuff. He had access to illicit materials and activities and stuff at a way earlier age than a normal kid would have. He mentions, like, I lost my virginity before I got my first kiss. And you're like, oh, holy crap. And it's all written very convincingly. If you've ever read memoirs of child actors or you've heard the kind of crap that goes on with kids that get really successful really young, like it all sounds entirely plausible for that world. Yeah, there are a lot of these child actors whose wealth gets squandered by their parents, and it's no surprise then that they end up in drugs or financial problems. Like, knowing that side of the business and how it works, like it's kind of easy to see how stuff happens to actors like Amanda Bynes and Lindsay Lohan. Like they got in young. Like it happens to boys and girls, but it seems like it's worse for the girls. And there's more of this like Nickelodeon stuff coming up. Like, holy crap, these kids are getting just exploited to hell and back by Hollywood, by the machine. It's disgusting. And so trying to realistically portray all of that and realistically portray a character who would have grown up around that, who still has some admirable qualities and still has a soul, but being a product of his upbringing and of his surroundings and of his situation, he would still have a lot of less than admirable behaviors. Like he's very casual about like hooking up with a fan if he's in the mood, just kind of like a use him and lose him type thing. So it's like, oh, okay, it's just it's different for him. Not to say that the morality of it is different, but the accessibility of it all is different from him. It's a convincing glimpse into that life. So I think it was a cool idea for Williams to combine that kind of character and that kind of setting with the world that he'd already established for Dagmar Shaw beforehand. And I think the conclusion was it was good. It was fast paced. It was high octane. It was compelling. There were a couple of like twists and revelations along at the end where it's like, okay, strong ending to a good trilogy. The first book was legitimately great. The second one was fine, and the third one was a little bit better. So I've enjoyed all of these, and I'm glad that I revisited the first one and that I finally got around to reading the other two. Content warning: it's similar for all three of these. There's a little bit more, I think, like violence and stuff in this one, especially because if you're reading it first person from Sean's perspective, and he gets in a lot of fights and he gets beat up and he gets hurt. There's that, and then regular like intense language up to the F dash 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 bomb, and it also like you're never necessarily like in the act when he's getting down diggity down with any of his fans or anything like that, but it's also like quite clear what's going on. So there are some adult situations, but other than that, like it was a really well done treatment of two different types of stories together. So that is a recommendation for The Fourth Wall by Walter John Williams. If you read any of the books in this series, let me know what you think. Till next time, drive safe. See you out there.